No, that's
So 8 to 5.
I've got one. Pledge allegiance. That's probably all of this all at one time. Sam. And then we'll go.
Recording in progress.
Good evening. City Clerk, I think we have everybody here. We can get ready to go.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor, as you have the gavel in front of you, would you do the honors, please? And we'll call to order this meeting of the Los Altos City Council at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. City Clerk, would you please call roll and establish quorum?
Members of the council, if you are here, please indicate so by answering in the affirmative. Councilmember Flyer.
here.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee A.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Weinberg.
Here.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Meadows.
Present.
Thank you. And Mayor Denander.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And City Clerk, would you please introduce our scout for tonight who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, Mayor. Tonight we have Emily Wong with Troop 81849, who's going to lead us in the pledge.
Hi,
Emily,
Emily.
Hi.
Are you ready?
Yes.
We're ready. Would you all please join Emily?
Please stand up. Hand on heart. Eyes on the flag. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Emily. Emily, what school do you go to?
I go to Montclair.
Montclair, and what grade are you in?
I'm in 3rd grade.
3rd grade. And how long have you been a scout, Emily?
I've been a scout for 2 years.
2 years. Well, you've learned a lot in 2 years and you did a really great job with that. And I see that you have a folded American flag on the wall behind you. Is that from someone in your family?
That is from my great grandfather, and he used to be in the army.
That's terrific. Well, what a wonderful backdrop for you leading us in the pledge tonight. Thank you so much for doing that. You
Thank
have a
you.
good evening. All right. So we had no closed session, so there is nothing to report. And next, I'd like to ask if there are any changes anyone would like to make to the agenda. We otherwise will proceed with 2 sections tonight. First will be basically our consent calendar after we take public comments on items not on the agenda, and then a special item, which is the reorganization of the city council. and the swearing in of new members and selection of new officers for the council. So if there are no changes to order of the agenda, I'd like to ask if there are any public comments on items not on the agenda. And City Clerk, I'm going to rely on you to identify anyone participating live who would like to make a comment on items not on the agenda, and then we would go to anyone who is participating virtually. And if you are participating virtually and would like to make comments on items not on the agenda, please raise your virtual hand.
Madam Mayor, I have one person who's indicated they're wanting to speak. Anybody else that would like to speak? We have speaker cards in the back. So I see one in person. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Nancy Phillips and I'm from Los Altos, California. And it is my intention to read a proclamation of the grateful residents of the city of Los Altos in honor of Anita Enander. And I'd just like to say myself that I really have appreciated Anita's diligent and intelligent and collaborative approach to her role on council during the 4 years that she served. And I'd like to read the proclamation that over 100 residents have signed. The proclamation of the grateful residents of the city of Los Altos, California, whereas Anita Enander in her service as mayor and council member has been an independent voice representing all constituents, respecting residents and staff, helping guide the city through troubled times, and whereas she has provided expertise in land use issues to help complete the housing element update, and whereas she co-led recruitment and hiring of city manager Gabe England, and whereas she has prioritized attraction and retention of city staff to better run our city, and whereas she has helped uncover major financial flaws in the city's financial system, and whereas she has worked with the city manager to gain approval of a 5-year CIP infrastructure plan, and whereas she endorsed a conservative budget to cover essentials and pay long delayed pension obligations, and whereas she partnered with various colleagues on key issues, in every case gaining council agreement. In witness whereof, we the undersigned grateful residents have hereunto set our hands and affixed this seal of appreciation this 13th day of December, 2022. And over 100 people have signed this. And I'm going to give a copy of this to the, I'm not sure who I should give it to, but for it to be read into the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips.
Madam Mayor, I have two folks with their hands raised attending virtually.
Please go ahead.
Our first speaker is John Baer.
Thank you. On behalf of myself, my family, and so many residents in Los Altos, I would like to thank you, Mayor Anita Enander, for your 4 years of service to the city and the community. You exemplify what we want, but all too often don't get in our leaders. Smart, thoughtful, thorough, deep, relevant experience and knowledge with a willingness to dig into the details, a true caring for the community and a desire to balance often divergent interests and needs. All of this without favoring one special group over the best interests of all. You never put personal agenda over choosing the best option or the best people. Many of us in town will miss your efforts to do the right thing. I know that you will continue to work for the good of the community going forward, and for that, Los Altos community should be grateful. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Roberta Phillips.
Hi, good evening. This is Roberta. So I obviously am very moved and almost at tears for the really nice things that the community members have said to Anita. With that, you have a couple of items on the consent calendar. I would like item number 3.
Ms. Phillips, Mrs. Phillips, we are going to deal with the consent items separately. If you want to speak about the consent items, we will take that shortly.
Okay, because I'd like 2 items removed from the consent calendar.
We will come
Yes.
back to you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I see nobody else with their hands raised.
Thank you very much, City Clerk. We will now move to the consent calendar. And we have one issue with this consent calendar, and that is that with respect to item number 1, we have a member of the council who will need to be recused for voting on that issue. So what I would like to do is the following. First is to take all public comment on any of the consent items. So whether you want to speak on item number 1 or item number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, please, if you're virtual, please raise your hand. I'm going to call back Ms. Phillips to the podium figuratively. So if you also would like to have an item pulled from the consent calendar and you are a member of the public, this is the time to do that. So whether you want to make a comment on any item, raise a question on any item, or pull any item and you are a member of the public, this is relevant to the entire consent calendar. This is the time for you to do so. So City Clerk, is there anyone present in the chamber who wishes to speak on any of the consent items?
Madam Mayor, there's no one, I have a public comment, a public speaker here who would like to go second.
Okay, that's fine. Then let's take Ms. Phillips and then we'll come back to our member of the public who is in the chambers.
Hey, Ms. Phillips,
Yes,
we can hear you and you can begin.
okay, good. I would like to pull item number 3 to have as a discussion item, which is affirm the 2023 commission and committee assignments. And I'd like to have number 4, which is the Nolan Pan Architects contract. And if you like, I can speak now about both of them. Item number 3, I think, should be a discussion item, because on the county and regional organizations, there are actually 28 positions, and one of them was given to Lynette Lee Eng, Councilmember Eng, and the other 27 were given to other council members. And I think that's really unfair and very biased, and I think we need to have a discussion. In addition to that, I saw that there were 3 stars next to the BTA Legislative Subcommittee, and it said that nobody was interested. However, I do know that Councilmember Eng volunteered for that, so I think that there needs to be a discussion on that. The second item is the Nolan TAM. We have a purchasing policy in Los Altos that says that anything over $100,000 needs to have a minimum of 2 bids and perhaps 3 bids. And I'm very much in favor of the EOC moving into the community center. I think it will save the city millions of dollars, but I think that we should go out for a second and third bid other than Nolan TAM. We don't know if we have a competitive price. They obviously know what they're doing, and perhaps they would be the best and the lowest, but we don't know. By not going out for a second bid, we give up our negotiating power. We're buying a car, we may say, hey, I'll go to a couple of places, see what the price is. The price is a little bit high, maybe they'll throw in some floor mats. We're abdicating that responsibility. Also on the contract, it is an improvement to the community center, so I believe it would be included in the policy. And I think that we need to avoid what happened last time. We have the contingency add up to 35%. I think you should approve the base once you've gotten other bids, but have the contingency approved by City Council separately so that we can manage our finances better than we did the last time. I think we need to learn from, the outcome was fine, but we spent more money than we intended. And I think we could be managed better under the new city staff and under new city manager. So that's my request. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. City Clerk, we have someone in the chamber who wanted to speak on consent calendar.
Yes, Madam Mayor, our first speaker here would be Mr. Whipple. If you'd like to take the stand.
Hello, I'm Arthur Whipple. I'm a resident of Los Altos. I am not speaking as a member of the Finance Commission today. I'm speaking as an individual. I think we have a situation with the Emergency Operations Center for the city that is in really sad shape, and we need to be moving forward this. We've been engaged with the city staff, and we think that what you've planned here is great for finding a way to provide additional value through the community center here. So I'm very much in favor of that and would like to see it go forward. If it's gonna just have more discussion, that's fine, but we think it should be moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whipple.
Our next speaker is Mr. Guy.
Hi, my name is Harry Guy. I'm a resident, I'm a volunteer. As you all know, I'm a volunteer ham and served like art. And this council has been extremely supportive for several years now, trying to get this, a new emergency operations center constructed and operating. And we have an opportunity to do that now with, I think, a very superior A&E firm. And I hope you can find a way to go ahead and prove that. We were really fortunate to get our new city manager, Gabe England, to be our city manager, and also to have him have the foresight when he went through this beautiful community center to say, why isn't the community center being used for the EOC? And our assumption all along was that it wasn't constructed to essential services building standards. And what we learned was, it was, in fact, constructed to meet all those standards. So the only thing it needed was emergency power, which is no small thing, thus the ticket price. So hopefully, council can find a way to keep this moving rapidly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guy.
I have no more public speakers.
Okay, I see an online, I think I see an online attendee.
You are correct. It is. Mr. Spielman, are you there?
I am. I had trouble getting online tonight, and I just wanted to make a couple of remarks about the outgoing mayor, if I may.
Go ahead, Mr. Spielman. I'm sorry you had difficulty getting online.
I just wanted to personally thank Mayor Anander, having worked with her as I was a member of Parks and Rec and other issues. I found her extremely responsive and is extremely well prepared in city council meetings and in commission meetings. And with her leaving council, I personally wanted to say, I believe the city of Los Altos owes her a debt of gratitude. The finest quality of mayor and council member that we could ever hope for. And so, Anita, I wish you well in your future, and I thank you personally for all your hard work, your preparation, your listening ear for members of our city. You've done an admirable job, and we owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Spielman.
I now see no one else with their hands raised.
Okay. So at this time, would the council member who has to recuse himself please make a statement regarding that for the record?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. This is in regards to agenda item number 1.
there is a proposed property tract. And the tract map was prepared by Leah and Bray's Engineering. Leah and Bray's Engineering is a client of my law firm. It's an ongoing client. So for the purposes of agenda item number 1 and only that agenda item, I need to recuse myself if there is to be any discussion.
And under the FPPC rules, you don't, on consent items, you don't have to leave the room. So that's
Pursuant to the FPPC rules, I've been informed that I don't need to leave the room if the item stays on consent or if there's public comment, but if there is debate, then I will remove myself from the room.
Okay, no one has asked to pull item 1. Therefore, just for clarity on the record, I would take a motion to separate as a consent item, item 1, so that we vote separately on it. That will also allow our member to indicate a non-voting and no participation in the item, and then we will take up the rest of the consent items. So do I have a motion? Councilmember Fliger, I see your hand.
Yes, Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar item 1 to approve the tract map for 4898 El Camino Real.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second? Councilmember Lee Eng, I see your hand.
I'd be glad to second. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, would you please call roll with respect to consent item number 1?
Members of the council, if you are in favor of consent item number 1, please answer in the affirmative. Councilmember Fliger.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee Eng.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Meadows.
yes.
Thank you. Mayor Enander.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. 4 in favor and 1 recused.
Thank you very much, City Clerk. Now, with respect to the remaining consent items, we've had request from the public to pull items 3 and 4. What is any comment that anyone wants to make with respect to, I know we had communications from the city attorney in answer to a question or questions regarding number 4. Do my colleagues feel that the question raised by the community member has been dealt with sufficiently in the city attorney's response, or would you like to see this pulled? Councilmember Fliger, I think you had your hand up first.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I would like to pull item number 4 from the consent calendar, and my questions are different from the questions raised by the member of the public. And so what I would also ask to do, Mayor, is that we continue this item to our January meeting. And if I need to make a separate motion, please let me know.
Okay. And Councilmember Lee Eng, I see your hand.
So I do agree with pulling agenda items 3 and 4. So Councilmember Fliger, you did request to pull 4, right? Okay, yeah, so I agree with 3 and 4 because I think I would have some questions or discussion. I would like to have a 3 as well. So and I do have questions on 4. So those,
Okay.
I do agree with those too.
Okay, then I would take a motion to, unless there are other questions, and I have to tell you that since this is my first time where I'm virtual and we've got people in the chamber, and I'm sure Councilmember Fliger's having the same experience I'm having. Councilmember Lee Eng's had this experience before, which is we can't really see you. So if you raise your hand and want to say anything, I can't tell.
Mayor,
So
I will announce that I would like to say something.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I don't agree with pulling number 4, but I do agree with pulling number 3. I think there's an in-depth discussion we need to have about that item.
Okay.
Oh, the city attorney has her hand up.
Do you want me to clarify on number 4 about the bidding process, or just?
No, I don't think that's necessary. It seems to me we have lots of people who are interested in continuing this item. And I also saw Councilmember Weinberg's hand. Please go ahead, Mr. Weinberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the vice mayor, I would have voted in favor of item number 4. I'm ready to move forward with that tonight. But according to our rules, our norms and procedures, it sounds like pulling it is the appropriate thing to do. I also would ask to pull item number 3. There has been a violation of council norm 11.10. It's a serious violation, and I think that needs to be a part of our discussion of item number 3 at a future date.
Okay, well, it sounds like items 3 and 4 should then, in a conformance with our norms, be postponed because we are not taking up either other business items at this meeting for discussion at the first January regular meeting. And
Mayor,
I
may
would,
I ask, I don't, you didn't actually express an opinion that I heard, and I could have missed it about item 4. And we have 2 who want to pull and 2 who don't, so,
it's not necessary to have a majority want to pull.
okay.
So I appreciate the question, but we don't have to have a majority who wants to pull.
Right, but we could have a majority who wanted to approve, that's why I asked you the question.
So, Mayor, I have a quick
Anyway,
question.
It's done, that's fine.
Go ahead, Councilmember Liang.
So obviously it's important for us to move forward on this item. Can we vote to see if we want to discuss it tonight?
No.
No?
No,
Oh,
we
okay.
have at least 2 people who want to pull it. So,
Well, I had clarifying questions, that's why, so, okay. So if we were to ask questions. But
Not tonight.
doesn't sound like for tonight. I'm hearing interest in having this pulled both by the community and by a council member. So both of those items should go to the January meeting. So I would take a motion at this point.
Madam Mayor, before
Go
you
ahead,
take the motion.
Mr. Weinberg.
Just like to state for the record, I would be supportive of having both items considered at a special meeting as soon as it's convenient for the council, rather than waiting until January, if at all possible.
Our norms would call for putting them on the next regular meeting. I appreciate your interest. For right now, I would like to take a vote on the remaining consent items and have those dispensed with.
Mayor, Mayor, Vice Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
So I would move that we approve consent calendar items number 2, 5 through 9.
So the motion on the floor from the Vice Mayor is to approve consent calendar items 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Is there a second? I see Councilmember.
I'll second it,
Flanagan.
Mayor.
Thank you very much. Second by Councilmember Flagger. City Clerk, would you please call roll?
Members of the council, if you're in favor of the motion of approving items 2, 5 through 9, please answer in the affirmative. Councilmember Liang,
yes.
Councilmember Weinberg,
Sorry. I did want to make an amendment or discussion item on 5. I'm sorry. Not a discussion, I just wanted to make a statement on 5 before I voted on it.
Okay, go ahead.
I agree with that we should pass it tonight, but I wanted to make a comment that could we have the mayor send a letter to the governor, or either send a letter to the governor or have a discussion on in light of what happened at our last meeting and the notification that went out. I think it's important that we send the mayor to the governor, a letter to the governor to give cities an option to extend the emergency orders past February if they feel it necessary or it is needed. So I
think that
I do feel it should pass, but I just wanted to add that extra thing. Because
I think that's an item that the new council is going to have to decide if they want to take up. And I appreciate your comment, but I'm going to put that on the new mayor to deal with. Would not be something that I think that we can deal with within our noticed business. City attorney, if I'm off base, would you please let me know?
No, we can, that can be brought up at the next January, at the January meeting when we would be redoing the emergency declaration. And in addition, if after tonight's, everything gets moved to January, the mayor may call a special meeting, or any three members may call a special meeting if they want to consider Nolan Tam agreement sooner. So there still is that option, I believe, under the norms and the Brown Act. So, but for Ms. Lee Ng's purposes for the January agenda item, we will expand that agenda topic to have a discussion maybe on the letter. So we make sure it gets covered. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
So yes, on that vote.
all right, so thank you. City Clerk, can you pick up the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Flagger.
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Meadows.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mayor Nander.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 5 in favor.
Thank you very much. And we've taken care of Councilmember Lee Ng's comment. Coming back to Councilmember Weinberg's comment, we have 2 items that we now are putting onto the January agenda in accordance with our norms. That would be items 3 and 4. City Attorney, would you please restate what you just said with respect to the procedure for calling special meetings?
Well, under the Brown Act and also the norms, the council, 3 council members may call a special election, or the mayor may call the not special election, special meeting. Sorry, I've got elections on my mind. So that would be something that we could do, and what they would do is contact. They work through the city manager and express their interest in a special meeting.
And how much notice is required in advance of things?
Under the Brown Act, 24 hours is for a special meeting notice.
Okay. So this is Councilmember Flagger, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to better understand why we would need, or why Councilmember Weinberg is suggesting we have a special meeting on items 4 and possibly 3, and why they can't be scheduled for the first meeting in January. I am supportive if there's an urgent reason to do so. I just haven't heard it.
Well, with respect to council assignments, I think there is an urgency because there are commission meetings, there are board meetings, and at this point, our assignments really have expired. So I think there is an urgency in getting those determined, assigned. So if there's any commission meetings or board meetings between now and January 10th, Los Altos is not without representation at those meetings. And then with respect to the Nolan Tam contract, I was persuaded by the comments by Harry Guy and Art Whipple. I think that there is an urgency in getting that going as quickly as possible. The EOC that the city has right now is woefully inadequate, and I think the sooner we get working on that, the better.
Councilmember Flagger, I still see your hand up.
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate the comments from Councilmember Weinberg. Based on his comments, especially as they relate to the council regional board appointments, I would be supportive of a special meeting. I don't know if we're getting off topic. I look to the city attorney to let us know. But if the motion that we need to make tonight is to continue these 2 items, because obviously we do not, the plan tonight was not to have discussion on these consent items. And so if what you're looking for, Mayor, is a motion to continue items 3 and 4 to a special meeting as scheduled by the mayor, I'm happy to, as the incoming mayor, I'm happy to do that, or I look to the city attorney on how we handle this.
Yeah, I don't think that's in on order, and I will remind the council that we had the opportunity to have a separate business meeting to take up some items, and we chose as a majority not to do so in the month of December. And that we would take care of things under consent, and if we could not take care of them under consent, we understood they would all go to January. I do not think a motion is in order at this time. I think the procedure would be that we move on to the next item, and that subsequent to this meeting, if the mayor or others want to propose a special meeting, that they follow the procedures that are in the norms, and that's not something that we do during the course of this meeting. But I see Councilmember Lee Eng's hand. Go ahead.
I understand that even if we continue it, we should, if we're going to be calling a special meeting, it would be better if we discussed whether or not that would be occurring, or allow for some sort of, because I don't want just 24 hours, the mayor to say, okay, we're going to have a meeting and call a meeting in 24 hours. I'm concerned that
I'm going to ask the city attorney at this time whether we should continue this discussion or we should not.
I was just going to say, the agenda item isn't calling a special meeting, where it's just an option. You can go to January, or after the motion's been made, you can also, the majority or the mayor can call a special meeting. I agree with the mayor that we should just move on to the council reorg at this time.
I understand that, but I just want to make clear, I thought we took out that it was taken out that the mayor could call a special meeting by themselves, but if that's still in there, then I understand that and respect that. And we'll do a Google or Doodle poll and figure out from all the council members when they're available for.
All of that logistics is to be dealt with by the incoming mayor and on advice of city attorney. We will move on now to the special item. Member Fliger, did you have another comment? I'm very cognizant of what the city attorney just said, and I do not.
Right. So point of order, I think we need to do something with items 3 and 4.
No.
So do we just need to make a motion to continue these items?
Don't need to make a motion. It's a part, that's our normal procedure.
Okay,
Our procedure says if they're pulled, they go to the next meeting. It's the mayor's discretion where they get placed. And we had said in our previous discussion 2 weeks ago that if anything did get pulled, that it would go to the January meeting. So I will continue the will of the council as expressed 2 weeks ago, which is that any items pulled from tonight's consent calendar moves to the first January meeting.
Thanks for that clarification, Mayor.
You're welcome. So we will move now to special item number 10, the council reorganization. And I will begin. Are there any public comments on this item before we begin this process?
Yes, Mayor. I see one gentleman with his hand raised. Now I'll let him introduce himself.
I hope the chuckles weren't for the use of the term gentleman. County Supervisor Joe Simidian, a resident of Palo Alto, an honorary resident of Los Altos. First, I want to give a shout out to Emily, who helped with the pledge, because I've never seen anyone give direction to a room full of Los Altans who then felt obliged to follow instructions. So I mean that with affection, but I thought she showed real leadership. I want to begin, Madam Mayor, by expressing my thanks to you as well for your service over these past 4 years. As you would know, and perhaps not others, we have had the opportunity to work together through some very challenging times, whether it was local land use issues or combating COVID. I want to be very clear about how much I have both enjoyed and benefited from that partnership over these past 4 years. Please know that I thank you both professionally and personally for your service. I should say, given our divided government, sometimes nationally, sometimes locally, I'm pleased to tell you that our Board of Supervisors acted unanimously to express its thanks and appreciation for your service. And while there are a great many whereases and therefore be it resolved clauses, my holiday gift to you is that I will not read them. Again, please know both personally and professionally how much I have enjoyed working with you. I wish you well in whatever your next chapter may hold. I'm going to pivot, if I may, with the forbearance of the mayor, to say congratulations to the new council member who is about to be seated, to express thanks to the mayor and the vice mayor for their service this past year, to give thanks as well to, or congratulations and thanks to those who are prepared to accept the new duties of mayor and vice mayor for the coming year. I know that that will be your action in just a moment or two. And I want to close a little, if I still have the ability to stretch my time a bit, with what may seem an unusual recollection. 25 years ago, I had the opportunity working with the United States Department of State and the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE, to help monitor and supervise elections in Bosnia. And the reason I am bringing that recollection to your council chambers is that it was shortly after the end of the violence in Bosnia, and I was there to help supervise the transition of power in what were a series of municipal elections taking place throughout the entire country. And I remember at the time, we chuckled here at home about why there needed to be election supervisors or monitors halfway around the world for municipal elections. Because of course, we take for granted the peaceful transfer of power between folks who have different points of view, particularly at the municipal level. I know, you know, it hasn't been said out loud, but I will say it out loud tonight. There are sometimes deep divisions in the community. They can strain our sense of community and our sense of common purpose. But what sets this community apart, and others that I am privileged to represent, is that people take a deep breath, understand that those differences of opinion don't mean they don't have a shared sense of community, and find a way to move forward. So as I thank you for your service, Madam Mayor, as I congratulate the incoming council member, as I thank you all and congratulate you all as you reorganize tonight, I think it is worth taking a moment to appreciate just how special and important this moment is in the life of any community and not take it for granted. With that, I wish you well, and I look forward to working with you in other venues in the years ahead. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Supervisor. And I know that I speak for everyone on this council in saying that we have appreciated and will continue to appreciate the partnership between this council, this community, and you as supervisor and your colleagues to do the best things for the broader community, not just for the city of Los Altos. So let's see, do we have any other? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Mayor Anander. This is Carrie Templeton, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Becker and Assemblymember Berman to also thank you and recognize your service to Los Altos. I brought you a plaque that was a resolution passed by the California legislature, which we'll leave here for you to pick up at a future time. But I'd like to share a couple of words from our Assemblymember and Senator in acknowledgement of your work. So, whereas the Honorable Anita Anander, outgoing mayor of the city of Los Altos, has demonstrated in her service of the Los Altos City Council and through her involvement in the local community an outstanding record of personal and civic leadership. And upon completion of her duties, she is deserving of special honors and the highest commendations. There's more, you can read it later. As Supervisor Simitian said, don't need to read it all right now. But it has been resolved by the Senator Josh Becker and Assemblymember Mark Berman that they take great pleasure in commending the Honorable Anita Anander for her outstanding record of community service and congratulate you on your leadership provided as the mayor. And we convey our best wishes for a future filled with continued success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And would you please thank the Assembly member and the Senator for their good wishes and for their proclamation. And thank you for being here tonight. Is there anyone else?
Interesting question.
Mayor, I see no one else here. One speaker.
Okay, and I don't see any hands on the attendee side. So we'll move to remarks. This is where I get to say something. And I'm going to start by saying thank you to everybody for coming. Thank you for all the very kind words tonight. It's been an honor to serve the city for the last 8 years. And I never expected when I began working on the DBC that I would cap those 8 years by serving as your mayor. I want to thank first Megan Satterley, who got me involved in the DBC and from whom I learned a great deal. To my colleagues on the DBC, especially Pat Marriott and Teresa Morris and Susan Mensinger, the latter two of whom now serve on commissions. They are a testament, we are a testament, I think, to the importance of transparency in government, to openness and outreach to the community and to the involvement of people in the community, because in turn, we find people who are willing to give back to our community. 4 years ago, our city was pretty much on the brink, both operationally and financially. I want to thank my colleagues, Jan Pepper and Jeannie Bruins, also Lynette Liang and Nisa Flieger, who allowed us to make changes that put the city on a new path. No one who sits in this chair or who sits behind the dais in the city council does things by themselves. It takes collaborative work. For us, that has meant rebuilding a staff under an exceptional new city manager and changing the culture to be one where our residents can receive the exceptional service that they all deserve. We've corrected many financial issues, which have been mentioned, but most significantly, we've taken policy decisions to restore our roads that will save money in the long run, to pay our pension obligations, and to take care of our infrastructure so that we do not leave for succeeding councils big obligations that would have profound adverse effects on our city. We've properly zoned and protected our parks for all to use, established building standards to comply with state laws, and frankly, had we completed the work of the recommendations of the Downtown Buildings Committee, we could have done that in a less frantic and better way, but we got it done anyway. We have supported our business community and residents during extremely unusual, unprecedented times of COVID, ranging from parklets to testing. And if Supervisor Simidian's still in the room, I want especially to thank him for his assistance in making our COVID testing work locally. We have solved some seemingly intractable issues, ranging from a permanent home for the Friends of the Library to having the first dog parks in Los Altos. The new council has a number of challenges ahead of you. Finishing the housing element is probably the greatest, followed by the revision to the general plan. But I'm gravely concerned about that because we as a city, as have virtually all cities in California, been set up to fail with respect to our housing element. The consequences mid-cycle for not having accomplished 50% of the housing are profound, and I would urge you to take steps now to try to mitigate the adverse effects that will happen when we have not accomplished 50% of the housing. That we basically cannot, because it's not practical and it's not possible, despite the best intentions that everyone has. I urge you to continue to fund the streets, the pensions, the equipment, and to follow through on the plans that this council has struggled with at long and arduous meetings to get our city onto a good path. And I urge you also to address quality of life issues that have been postponed and deferred while we dealt with more critical or seemingly more critical or issues, especially including noise issues that affect our community and that will result from increased electrification of houses. I also hope that we will focus on urgent issues with respect to water conservation and our treescape, which I've spoken about in other circumstances. The Downtown Buildings Committee, which is how I got involved in all this in the first place, consisted of 10 people who basically had nothing in common. None of us, in fact, even knew each other. Yet we found common ground and through civil discourse, arrived at recommendations, working together with the good fortune of it being in person for the betterment of Los Altos. That is what we have as a possibility for the future, no matter who sits on our council. We will always have a diversity of opinions, but I hope that you will find common ground, not that any one person represents that they represent the view of all residents in Los Altos, because there is a diversity of opinion, but with empathy, with courtesy, and with respect for our residents and each other, and for the staff, we can continue to do the best thing for Los Altos. I wish you the very best, and I want to thank you again, residents, council members, staff, and colleagues from other cities, for all of your help and support, for everything that you have helped me learn and understand about trying to be a good servant of the people. I wish you my best. Thank you. I would like next to have the vice mayor and council members, any of whom want to say anything.
Mayor, sorry. Vice Mayor raising her hand, and I'll just go first if that's okay with my colleagues. Okay, so Mayor Enander, Anita, you and I have worked together quite a while now, not as long as you just mentioned, but when we first, I think as everyone here has heard probably more than once, we first overlapped on planning commission, and then you were elected to council. And then I followed you and we worked together for a couple years, including working constructively on behalf of our community on several subcommittees, which I think helped us accomplish some good things for our community as well. So as you alluded to, no matter when we have agreed or we have disagreed, and we have done some of both, we work effectively. And I'm not going to say too much because with all of us, this is already going on for a while, but I want to acknowledge your strong convictions and commitment to our community. And as actually other people have alluded to already, you're always well prepared, no matter the subject matter that gets thrown our way. And believe me, it even includes sewers. So on behalf of all of us in Los Altos, I'd like to express my personal appreciation, but all of our appreciation for your service to the city. And we also have a proclamation. The good news is I'm also not going to read it. And the even better news is it's not in a frame. You can easily store it. So we appreciate your service, Anita. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Weinberg, go ahead.
All
Pretty soon I'll be Anita, and that'll be so much easier.
right, Anita. Thank you very much for your service to both the city and the council as our mayor for the past year. You and I did not always see eye to eye on important issues, but you came to every meeting, not only prepared on the substance of the issue, but with a plan to lead the council, staff, and our residents through a fair and thorough debate. And while the plan didn't always work, I truly appreciate the work and dedication you put in not just to the substance of what we discussed, but to the process of actually running the meetings. At the beginning of your mayorship, I made the comment that I believe we as a council could get to yes on many issues. And frankly, as our mayor, you had a very productive year leading us to many yeses. And in particular, I want to thank you for some of the following. Under your leadership, the city submitted a draft housing element that was well received by HCD. As you mentioned, there are dog park pilot programs at both Hillview and Mackenzie. The council approved 330 DeStelle, the city's first all affordable housing development. We've modernized our budget process to accommodate short, medium, and long-term goals. We revised our wireless ordinance so that it balances the community's concerns about the aesthetics of wireless equipment, our need for wireless coverage, and our legal obligations. And the council, under your leadership, adopted the Complete Streets Master Plan. It is my sincere hope that you are proud of what you have accomplished as our mayor and that you can look on your achievements with satisfaction.
Thank you, Mr. Weinberg. Councilmember Lee Ing, your hand is up.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank you, Mayor Enander, for your years of service to the city of Los Altos. You've done a wonderful job taking on the hard issues, like all the ones you've talked about and others have mentioned, but to name a few, the housing element process was a big achievement in getting that draft in, as well as the hiring of our awesome city manager, that you know, serving on that committee and getting him hired was wonderful. So thank you for that. And keeping us on top of state legislation. It's really important that we know what's going on in the state so we can be prepared and know what actions we should be taking. Your years of service and dedication on our planning commission, as well as city council, are greatly appreciated. Your knowledge and expertise will be greatly missed. Thank you again for everything you have done.
Thank you very much, Lynette. Councilmember Flagger.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I will go last, and you can hear Max barking in the background. So I'll start by saying congratulations, Mayor. I'll say mayor as many times as I can, because this may be the last council meeting where we're colleagues, where I'm able to use that title in reference to you. Congratulations on a very successful term as council member, vice mayor, and mayor. And thank you for your service to the city of Los Altos. You and I were elected at the same time in 2018. So I basically had a front seat to your evolution as a council member. And as I said, you know, council member moving up to vice mayor and then mayor. And we were both thrown in the council government pool together, and we learned to swim together and navigate council leadership. And I'm proud of what you and I and the different council members we have served with have accomplished over the years. And when I think back about your contributions and the type of leader you have been, you are a leader who cares. And I'll tell you, I also talked with a mutual friend of ours earlier today. And when I mentioned, you know, that's what stands out to me, she said, yes, that's exactly what Anita is. That's the type of leader she is. You cared about Los Altos, all of Los Altos, you know, North Los Altos, South Los Altos, and all Los Altos residents. You cared about our city finances, and you cared about preserving what you believed and many believe make Los Altos great. And this was always evident in your votes and deliberation. You would ask the tough questions, challenge the assumptions, and proactively seek alternative solutions, all with the goal of getting the best result for Los Altos. You served on council, and I think a couple of people have mentioned your accomplishments. But one thing that always stood out for me, you always made clear that you're not serving on council or running for office because you're looking to serve in a higher office. You're doing it because you want to make Los Altos and you want Los Altos to continue to be a great place. So thank you for that. I, of course, have to also share that you and I served on a few different subcommittees, and I have to say successfully, and some of those were mentioned earlier. And you and I, Anita, may not always agree, but I will share with the public, and you and I know this. When we served on these subcommittees, or even when we served and sat side by side in person or virtually on the dais, even when we disagreed, we would still respect each other and respect each other's opinions. And I want to thank you for that. The subcommittees I want to highlight, of course, is the subcommittee to hire our new city manager, Gabe England, and that's been mentioned a couple times. Check. Our subcommittee for the summer internship program pilot last year, that was also a success. Check. And of course, the housing element update subcommittee. That so far, and I'm going to knock on pseudo wood here and continue to hope for the best, but we work together, and so far so good. And it's because we were able to collaborate, work well together, work with staff and the community. And I thank you for caring so much. I thank you for your leadership. I wish you all the best. Thanks to your family if they're listening in, for sharing you with us these past 4 years. As veterans on council, I can now say that we know how much time is required. But because you cared so much and because you gave so much, our city is a much better place. So thank you so much, Anita, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much to Councilmember Flagger, to all of you. I really appreciate your comments. I wish my mom was around because I remember 1960, oh God. I'm going to say 1966 or 67, and if Roy Lave or Penny Lave are listening, they'd be able to tell me for sure. I remember my mother coming home one night, very excited. She said that a woman that served on the Water Commission, and of course my mother was then an executive at the Santa Clara Valley Water District, had been elected mayor of Los Altos. And I didn't even know where Los Altos was. But she was the first woman elected since, and that was either 66 or 67, since the 1920s. To the position of mayor in the Santa Clara County.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember how excited my mother was that that happened. And one of the things I will always treasure is that 4 years ago, Lynette, Nisa, Jan, Jeannie, and I sat on the dais as the first all-women council. And it was an honor then, and it's an honor tonight to say goodnight to all of you and to move forward now with the administration of oath to, to the administration of oath of office to the newly elected city managers. Pardon me, city council member. Can't read my own writing. So do we know which one's going first? City Clerk, this is now your show.
It is. We're going to have Councilmember Flagger go first. My name is Angel Rodriguez. I have the pleasure of serving as your interim city clerk, and it's my honor to welcome in our new and incumbent city council member. So if I may, I, Angel Rodriguez, interim city clerk of the city of Los Altos in the county of Santa Clara and the state of California, do hereby certify that on the 8th day of November, 2022, Nisa Flagger was duly elected by the Register of Voters of the City of Los Altos to the office of council member for a 4-year term, as certified by the County Register of Voters and accepted by the City Council tonight, December 13th, by the adoption of Resolution number 2022-85. Councilmember Flagger, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I state your name.
Nisa Flagger.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Angel. Great job.
I will then call up our newly elected council member. And let's see, we get you in front of the camera. I think it'll be better. There you go. Okay. Why don't you stand over here so I'll switch you spots. I'll give my back to them so you can see the audience. So I, Angel Rodriguez, interim city clerk of the city of Los Altos, in the county of Santa Clara and the state of California, do hereby certify that on the 8th of November, 2022, Pete Daly was duly elected by the registered voters of the city of Los Altos to the office of council member for a 4-year term, as certified by the county register of voters and accepted by the council tonight, December 13th, by the adoption of resolution number 2022-85. Mr. Pete, please raise your right hand. I,
Pete Daly,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
that
I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Vice Mayor, I believe the gavel is yours at this point.
So I will lead the meeting at this point until I believe Mayor Emander will pop up a little later as well. But right now we're going to welcome our newly elected and our newly re-elected council members to say a few words. There's a theme here tonight. Which of you would like to go first? Councilmember Flagger, do you need a break for your throat? So we let Councilmember Daly go first? Or does it not matter?
Let me just get it out of the way. Let me just do it. I still have a voice.
All right.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Meadows. And congratulations, Councilmember Daly. Welcome to the team. I think I was the first one to say that, unless someone said it in the room. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I've talked with many of you today, expressing how much I wish I could have been there in person. But I'm definitely there in spirit. And even though I'm virtual, I'm sharing in the celebration and the well wishes that we're all sharing this evening. So I decided to do this again. See, this is what happens, Sally and Jonathan. Lynette knows this, you get hooked. Once you serve a term, you want to do a second term. But first, let me thank the Los Altos community for taking a chance on me 4 years ago and giving me the opportunity to serve as your council member, then vice mayor, and then mayor. It has been an honor, and now I get to serve for another 4 years. Thanks to my family for all their support over the last 4 years, and special thanks to my campaign team for the countless hours, volunteer hours, that they gave to my campaign, and I will embarrass them. It's an all-female campaign team, Anita, Stacy Banerjee, Penny Lave, Kathy Lazarus, Stephanie Strickland, and Jolie Krause. Thank you all so much. Thanks also to all my friends and residents who stepped up to help in so many other ways. I would not have been reelected had it not been for your support. So thank you. I want to especially thank our city staff for all their work and support over the last 4 years. You were also able to adjust and pivot during challenging times. And we as a council would not have been able to accomplish the things we did without your work. And so I sincerely want to thank you personally. I know how much and how many of you have supported me over the last 4 years. And I commit to you that you will continue to have my support and appreciation in my second term. As I look back over the last 4 years, even with all the challenges, I am proud of what we accomplished for the city. And personally, it made me a better leader. I spent a lot of time my first year learning how the city really works. And Anita and I bonded on that many times, especially when we were meeting in person. And just basically learning how to be a council member. 2 highlights for me from that first year in 2019 is really being able to push forward with our community center. I was proud I was able to add my vote and my voice to moving that big project forward. And also ensuring that our crossing guards were funded by the city. By my second year, 2020, I felt like I knew what I was doing. I was nominated to be the vice mayor, and I was recruited to serve on different regional boards. And then almost 4 months into my second year, COVID hit. And we had to stop all the plans we had and adjust to the new reality. And that was not the only challenge we faced in 2020. Mayor Pepper, former Mayor Pepper, and I had to form a policing task force with the support of our colleagues on council. We celebrated the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote, even during the challenges of COVID. We were able to push through grant funding for business community. And working virtually and having our staff work virtually as well, remotely doing all this work. And then it was 2021 when I became mayor, and what an honor it was. I led the transition of our city management with the support of my colleagues, welcomed 2 new council members, soon to be Mayor Meadows and Vice Mayor Weinberg, worked with county staff on access to COVID vaccines and ensuring our seniors and other residents received the information they needed. And then we also had a community conflict that we needed to address. All of this happening within the first 6 months of my term as mayor. But we got through it together. And we were also able that same year to move forward the first 100% affordable housing development, which was mentioned earlier, open our new community center, support the formation of a theater working group, and build back up our financial reserves. Then 2022 rolled around and went by just as quickly. We adopted the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. We found the Friends of the Library a permanent home, established a permanent parklet program for downtown, and supported our employees through adopting a compensation policy. As I look ahead, we still have a lot of work to do, and I hope you're listening, Councilmember Daly. And I'll take all my learnings from my first term. We will need to get our housing element update approved. And we're still trying to figure out what approved means. Nick Zorns is trying to help us with that, but definitely ensuring that we get that done. Move forward with implementing the programs and policies that we mentioned in the housing element update. Implementing portions of the Complete Streets Master Plan, the Downtown Vision Plan, and the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. We also need to make sure that we do a better job of engaging with our residents in all corners of our city, and that they feel that they're part of the process. Over the last 8 weeks, I had the privilege of talking with so many residents, and that was clear to me. They want to know what's going on. They want to be more engaged. And so I'll challenge our council going into the new year that we figure out ways to do that. Here's my commitment to Los Altos. I will continue to bring a balanced approach in my decision-making and leadership, and champion policies and programs that improve our lives. My top priority will always be to ensure Los Altos continues to be a great place to live, work, raise a family, and retire. I look forward, and I'm actually very excited to serve under the leadership of Mayor Meadows and Vice Mayor Weinberg. And I look forward to continue working with and collaborating with Councilmember Lee Eng and welcoming Councilmember Daly to the team. Thank you all so much for this wonderful opportunity. Have a good night, and I wish I was there with all of you. Thank you.
I will keep my remarks short. And those of you who know me know that's a challenge for me sometimes. I look around the room, I see a lot of friendly faces. The people who helped me get elected, the people who convinced me to run, the people who made the campaign successful are too numerous to name individually here. But I want you all to know how much I appreciate you. I appreciate all the residents who engaged in the process. And I appreciate Mayor Inander for a vigorous campaign and for many years of service to the community. I look forward to getting down to business and getting work done for the residents of the city. Thank you.
Okay, so our next order of business is to hear if we have any nominations for mayor.
Madam Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a nomination.
Oh, yes. Go
I
ahead.
nominate Sally Meadows as the next mayor of Los Altos.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Weinberg. I guess I call for a vote because in this instance, we don't even need a second. But actually, Councilmember Flagger, maybe you're nominating someone else. Did you want to do that?
No, Vice Mayor Meadows, you're right. We don't need a second, even though I would love to make the second.
All right, so if there's no other nominations, then I will call for a vote. City Clerk, would you do that, please?
Members of the council, if you are in agreement with having Vice Mayor be promoted to Mayor Meadows, please indicate so by answering in the affirmative. Councilmember Flagger.
Yes.
Councilmember Lee Eng.
Yes.
Councilmember Weinberg.
Yes.
Councilmember Daly. Yes.
Vice
Mayor Meadows.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then our next order of business is to nominate a new vice mayor. And I would nominate Councilmember Weinberg to be our vice mayor. All right, I don't see any other competing nominations, so I'm going to ask the city clerk to take the roll.
Thank you. Members of the council, if you're in favor of having Councilmember Weinberg be our new vice mayor, please answer in the affirmative. Councilmember Fliger,
Yes.
Councilmember Lee Ang,
Yes.
Councilmember Daly,
Yes.
Councilmember Weinberg,
Yes.
Mayor Meadows.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes with a unanimous vote.
So clerk, you get to come up and do it all over again. And we should have mentioned, actually, Councilmember Daly, you could have had your family up with you. And I will say, Vice Mayor, if you want to. Boy, I mean. Mayor Meadows. Yeah, wow. So I think we're doing the Vice Mayor first, right?
Sounds good. Yes. Vice Mayor, would you please stand?
You want to have your- Okay.
Come up here and join me as front. Please raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Jonathan David Weinberg,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of Vice Mayor
of the office of Vice Mayor
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I would like to invite my family to come up if they're willing, since they joined us for the meeting. This is my local family, so hi to Amsterdam, hi to Hawaii.
Ready? So I state your name.
I, Sally Meadows,
Do solemnly affirm,
do solemnly swear,
thank you,
yeah,
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office of mayor
of the office of mayor
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Mayor Meadows. Normally, at this time, the outgoing mayor would present the incoming mayor with a medal. And since I am not there to do that, I would ask our city clerk, please, if he would do the honors on my behalf.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, don't lose it.
All right. All right, so with that, we're going to move to our vice mayor, if you would like to make a few remarks. Remember, you and me are between this crowd and dessert.
First and foremost, I would like to very much thank my colleagues for electing me to serve as the vice mayor. And let me say that I am really looking forward to working with our new council. I am excited about the opportunities that we have before us to move the city forward in a responsible, equitable, and positive way. And to the new mayor, congratulations, you're off to a great start. I mean, people often say meetings take too long, but in your first meeting, running the reorganization, you're well ahead of San Mateo, so keep it up. One thing, in looking at the new council that we have, one thing that was really striking to me is that, Sally, you have the privilege of leading a council where 4 of your colleagues have all come up through the Parks and Recreation Commission. And I wonder whether or not that's ever happened. I suspect that it probably hasn't. But given that, I would caution you that when you are working with Gabe putting together the agendas, you should expect to spend a lot of time and have very robust discussion on anything having to do with parks, the recreation department, open space. Keep that in mind. And is Manny Hernandez, Director Hernandez here tonight? Okay, well, someone should let Manny know that he's doing a great job in teaching teaching and fostering the future leaders of the city. But now that he's got 4 of us on the council, he's got 4 nudniks who are going to be butting their noses and everything that Parks and Rec is doing. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I know that we're going to do a lot of good, and I look forward to working with everyone and making the city better for all of us.
Vice Mayor neglected to mention that we have 2 attorneys on council as well, so 4 Parks and Rec commissioners and 2 attorneys, so there we go, we're in good hands. So I get to make some remarks, and I think I'm actually, it's probably fair to say I'm known as the least talkative speech person, but I do want to say a few words this evening because it's an occasion and I'm happy to be recognizing it with all of you. So firstly, it's an honor, a privilege, and a tremendous responsibility to serve Los Altos. So thank you to my colleagues and to the community and to my family for your confidence in and support of me. And in fact, the support of our entire council, because we do this job on your behalf. So as many of you know already, on December 1st, we recognize 70 years since our city's incorporation. So that day, at the event that we had, I listened to Elizabeth Ward, who's the director of our History Museum, and Robin Chapman, who's a native Los Alton and historian, and they spoke at the anniversary event. And I recognized that they had a common theme in the stories they told. And any mistakes that come in what I say next are my fault, not their fault. So I will give them a pass if I've misunderstood. But Robin Chapman told us about the process of the city's incorporation. It took a lot of work and more than one attempt. In fact, it took 2 elections before there was a vote supporting incorporation. Members of the community at that time, although not all members, just like we've heard, we don't always agree, members of the community believed in, worked towards, and decided in the face of uncertainty to propose a long-term vision of Los Altos. That course had uncertainties. For example, and we hear these questions all the time, how much will it cost? What might the disadvantages be? Think of all the things that can go wrong, which is why it took so long, but ultimately the community voted to make the vision a reality. And here we are, 70 years later, applauding the decision to incorporate. Elizabeth Ward told a similar story about the History Museum. First, there was a decision in 1977 to preserve the J. Gilbert Smith House as a museum. And later, there was a vision of a new museum building to allow room for the collection to expand. And that building, which was funded entirely by private funds, opened in 2001. Again, this came down to committed community members who worked very hard over many years to bring this vision to fruition. Now we have one of the best, if not the best, local history museums around. So one final, more recent example. We're sitting here tonight, or in some cases standing, in our award-winning LEED Gold, and Jan Pepper, former Mayor Pepper, if she's online, will correct me if it was platinum, LEED Platinum, but I think it was LEED Gold in our community center. So you've probably picked up on the theme by now, community and vision. Committed community members pursuing a vision, and through yet another long process involving volunteers, city staff, commissions, councils, plural, and all the professionals needed to design and build the center, and we can all be here tonight. So we have seen demonstrated over and over again, our community pulling together and doing the hard work to achieve a shared vision. That's how we move together towards the future, acknowledging that there are difficult choices, many uncertainties, and it's never all smooth sailing. And of course, not everyone agrees along the way. But looking back, we can celebrate what we've achieved together. So as mayor, I commit, as I'm sure my colleagues do too, to support our community to achieve our vision of the future for Los Altos. And so with that, I'm going to adjourn this meeting and ask you all to pick up your 70th anniversary lapel pins at the reception. This meeting is adjourned.
Congratulations.
Party time.